Hello, it's Stuart Lloyd here, and I think I'm recording. Good. Right, now let's see. Yep, I'm driving home. What's the date today? 8th of November. And you know what that means? It means the Windhammer results are in. Yes! Congratulations to Zachary for winning with final payment. Excellent game book. Love the setting, love the system. Love the fact you could spend money to do things that you can't normally do, like give yourself an extra skill or re-roll a die. And to the Merit Award winners. So, Ashton Sailor, Legacy of the Zendari. Excellent book, full of options. Lovely setting again. And also, Marty Runyon, I hope I pronounced that correctly, with the Academy, Wizards Academy, final term. Yes, when you've got your last exam paper to do. Yeah, enjoyed that. Nice quirky setting. You're in a wizard school. Ha ha ha. So yes, congratulations to you guys. It is pretty awesome to win, especially in a pool of 22 people. That's a huge pool. I'm looking forward to seeing your game books being released on a little compilation from Tin Man Games. Oh, awesome. Oh yeah. So, great for them. So, I also got my feedback. I enjoy getting the feedback. In fact, I enjoy getting the feedback knowing I've won once already, so now I do it for the feedback, really. Now I do the Windham competition for feedback, because now I know I've been able to win it, I sort of experiment with stuff, because there's no other place that a game book can get so much feedback. So yeah, my feedback. I'm going to split this up because I've only got 10 minutes before I drive home. And I'd like to talk for longer about that. So first, I'd like to talk about the Call of Khalris's diary. So I've got some feedback about the diary. And why do I want to talk about this first? Because it is the one thing. Is the main thing that polarised people. So I got plenty of feedback this year, what with all the many hundreds of downloads, which is awesome. I'm so glad that Wayne Densley's getting tons and tons of entrants and downloads, etc. Because he deserves it for all his hard work. So out of all the feedback I got, the diary, as I said, was the most polarising. Some people loved it, some people didn't. And so I'm going to go through why people loved it and why people didn't love it, and then I'm going to talk about what maybe I'd do later. So some people loved it, they loved the diary. They said one person said that his what he wrote down actually happened, so he wrote things down like, God, I hope I don't lose my camel, and then the camel went. So it works in that way. Some people said, it's great to write down your feelings, etc. The people who didn't like it said a couple of things. One, it felt too much like homework, and two, it broke the immersion of the story. Okay, so let's go with the homework thing. I can see how people would think it felt like homework because I was asking questions of them at random points. So it's like, you're about to go to Khalris. How do you feel about this? What do you think you're going to find? Write a diary entry. Yes, as a teacher, I expect people get... as a science teacher, I don't give homeworks like that, but I expect they get English homeworks like that. Write a diary of George and Lenny before they go to the farm, etc. So, yes, I can see how that made it feel like homework. Okay, so make it less homework-like in future. Breaking the story suspension. I can see how that is. I think this sort of people who said that is kind of indicative of the appeal that the diary had to a particular person. I think the people who like the story, who thought it broke the story suspension, I know some of them, either through the game books that they wrote or just in the blogosphere. I think that they're the sort of people who would read game books more for the story than the game. So they just want to get immersed in the world and feel, immersed in the world, interact with the world, and maybe create their own story in the back of their heads. So me sort of poking my head in randomly and asking the questions that they may not even care about, would have been a bit of an intrusion. So yes. So what can I get from this? I think some people loved it, which means in principle it's a good idea. But the reasons why people didn't like it probably means that I executed it in a manner that wasn't very good. Okay, I think I was far too rigid. I stopped people at certain times and asked them certain questions that they may not care about. And I might stop people at times that, weren't big moments for them. Okay? I think the people who like to create stories, they want to create their own story. They don't want to be stopped at a particular point. They want to create their own significance. Okay? Not have the author's significance thrust upon them. So that's why they found it intrusive. When I did this diary entry thing, I was trying to emulate the kind of entries that people write on their blogs. So there's plenty of blogs out there, Fighting Fantasy playthroughs and other game book playthroughs now, so I won't list them all. But that's the kind of thing I wanted, because they're very entertaining to read, and they gave me other insights into game books that I might have played and known for years, but I've never actually thought about in that way. Like the map of Darkwood Forest. When I think the funniest thing on Fighting Dante turns 400 for me is when his comment about the map of Darkwood Forest, which I won't repeat because I'll try and make this a nice rating. But it's like, oh yeah, I've never actually thought about how absurd some of these Fighting Fantasy books actually are. Okay. Also, the fact that the dwarf's called Big Leg. I mean, yes. I never thought about just how strange that sounds. So that's it. That's what I tried to emulate. Okay, and obviously the reason why I find these very entertaining in hindsight is because the people who write these add their own touch of individuality and insight to it, and me asking particular questions at particular points just ruins that. It's basically me adding my own insight or enforcing my own significance onto it. Okay, whereas everyone might find even the most something I find really minor really important. So and it felt like homework. So I think a solution would be, if I was to do the journal thing again, for people who liked it, I might say there's a journal at the back, add notes where and whenever you want to about whatever you want. So I can have a column with paragraph number thoughts. Okay, so I'm not restricting people to particular questions or anything. So if you go to Khalris, for the snake spotting, for example, you'll be like, oh, paragraph X, found lots of snakes, they all seem very nice, or whatever. Okay, so so basically I think I ruined people's immersive experience by making it too much about me. Okay, whereas they want to get into a story, they want to know what they're feeling, how it makes them feel, how they want to live in it, rather than me popping up and going, what do you think about this bit? And them saying, well, I don't care about this bit, I don't care about the treasure, I'm here to fight the undead, or whatever. That's the diary entries. Hopefully that method will not, the people who currently like the current method will still like that method as well. Okay, so there we go. I think the reason why I did it, and the reason why I botched it up, is because as a game book writer, I was before I started writing, I was heavily leaning towards the game aspects of it. I remember when I was playing some game books as a child, I'd just completely forget the story. I'd scan the paragraphs. I'd say, right, any combats, any stat changes, do I need any items? Once I'd gone through that checklist, I wouldn't care what the paragraph said pretty much, and I'd just move on to the next one. So I was very heavily game and almost no story. This is my attempt at redressing the balance with more story. And you know, I wrote the setting, and it wasn't very interactive because you're exploring a dead city, and to be honest, there aren't many people in a dead city. In the dead city are dead, and even if they're walking around, they're not very interactive. So I wanted you to interact with something. So instead of I wanted you to be introspective instead, so you can interact with yourself. I wanted you to be intro. That was my attempt at adding role play and immersiveness to an interactiveness to a story that, you know, didn't have many characters in for you to talk to, but you can still have thoughts and feelings and whatever. So yes, and also, so it's my attempt at addressing the balance, which is also the reason why I didn't do it that well for some people, because it was my first attempt, or it's one of my first attempts at being more like, and I hadn't shaken off the game aspect too much, so I was too rigid. I was a bit too rigid in my approach. I was like, right, they can talk about this at this point. Whereas what I didn't realise is the people who read it for a story, they want to create the story for themselves. They don't want the author's input. Okay, so you know, I'm sure it's the same with novel writers. You know, they might write something that's really important, and then they'll go to some conference or whatever, and people ask them questions about what they thought were super minor points. I'm expecting that to be big, but there we go. And the approach should be not to say, well, that's not important. The approach should be, oh, brilliant, you found that important, and you know, think that important. Okay, not to right back in your fan's face. I mean, they're a fan, they like it. They should like it for whatever reason they want. Okay, not because you know. And if you just throw something in at the last minute, just because you think it's all right, and it turns out it's the most important thing in the book, then who are you to argue? They like it anyway. You know, get on with it. So there we go. That's me. See you later.